Hi, and welcome back to Talking Trade. I'm Ian Coxhead at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
And I'm Sandi, Siegel, president of ME Day. It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest, David Usher, the acting Consul General of Canada in Chicago. So David, you also represent us and have jurisdiction here in Wisconsin, as well as Illinois and Missouri. Tell our listeners a little bit about the work the Consulate does and how you're a support for businesses that are perhaps doing business with Canada already or interested in doing business with Canada.
Thanks, Sandi. And first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to talk with you guys today. And I really welcome the opportunity. With 25 staff here at the Consulate, we're aimed at promoting cross-border trade and by extension, economic development on both sides of the border. So I'm really happy to be here talking trade with you today. In the most basic terms, we're the counterpart to the US Department of State. So we represent the Canadian federal government in the US Midwest. And in that role, we maintain outreach with US elected officials, develop cultural and scientific cooperation, academic collaboration, and also work together on important issues like Great Lakes water management and border security. When we talk about the trade connection, Canada and Wisconsin have got a very important and robust trade connection. And many people don't realize it, but Wisconsin sells more goods to Canada than its next 5 largest foreign markets combined. And that's about 7.5 billion in goods to Canada annually. And of course, going the other way, because it's two-way trade, Wisconsin imports about 5.5 billion from Canada, its neighbor to the north annually. So, we're the #1 customer for Wisconsin, and this means jobs, goods, services, and products for people in Wisconsin. And even with COVID, we've got 189 Canadian-owned businesses in Wisconsin that employ more than 22,000 Wisconsin workers. So we see lots of opportunities for Wisconsin companies, entrepreneurs, and innovators to expand in the Canadian market. And we welcome that sort of interest from your companies to take advantage of our resources for innovation, access to international markets, and available talent. There is a recent article from the New York Times talking about our tech sector and how Toronto is a quietly booming tech town. And it highlights the expansions of Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, Pinterest, Twitter, etc. in there. And Toronto is now a very important tech hub in North America, about the 3rd largest. So lots of opportunities. We're here to support and build on the relationship that exists between the Midwest and Wisconsin and Canada. And we're basically here to help.
Thanks, David. So it seems like the only thing that Wisconsin lacks is a common border with Canada, right? Now, this, speaking of common borders, I guess if there was one, it would be in the middle of Lake Superior somewhere. There's a lot of interest in the water tech sector in Wisconsin. Milwaukee, the so-called city built on a lake, is really the hub for a lot of new startups in the water tech area. We do share water resources in the Great Lakes. So what kind of collaborations or exchanges are you seeing in regard to water technology?
Well, thanks for mentioning the border, because it is a border, even if it's a water border. And, we know that between our two regions, the water connections are very, very important. So this is a great question, because when I was in Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to visit the Water Council. And it's a great operation. I learned a lot there about their activities and the Canada-Wisconsin connections. We see the water sector as a driving economic force for the Milwaukee region. And we have a solid and longstanding relationship through the Water Council's incubator called Brew 2.0.
Right.
And, this sort of gets us to the issue of startups. I talked about the tech sector and the Canadian strengths in that area. With Brew 2.0, we currently have 11 water tech firms engaged with this program. I can tell you a little bit about some of them. And the good news is that three very innovative Canadian companies have been selected to join the new batch of the Brew 2.0 accelerator program. So just very briefly to talk a little bit about some of the skills and companies. We have a company called Digital Water Solutions that's developed an innovative technology called Hydrant AI that provides real-time monitoring information to utilities to help them quickly detect water leaks within the water distribution system. Mm-hmm. We have another company called Pani Energy that provides a cloud-based machine learning platform to help water plant personnel elevate the efficiency of their industrial and wastewater treatment facilities. And this lets plant personnel log on through their smart device to see how optimize energy consumption in the plant, chemical usage, equipment life, operational costs, all in one place. Nice. And then the last third recent company that's active in the Brew 2.0 is Kenwave Solutions. And it's a company that offers leak detection and condition assessment needs for water utility plants, power plants, district heating systems, and industrial customers. So, you know, this is another area where Canada and Wisconsin have shared skills, shared interests, and the cooperation is great, and we're trying to work to make it even stronger.
I see. Yeah, thanks. And a big reminder too that increasingly trade is not about moving merchandise across borders, but moving ideas and other kinds of service activities as well. But merchandise is also an issue. And Sandi, you've got a concern about that.
Well, I do. Dave is a freight forwarder, so you know I can validate the amount of trade moving in both directions. I recently listened to the director of the Port of LA speak and some of the challenges there. Canada's our issues are a little less severe, but nonetheless, I think we can agree supply chain backups and congestion are everywhere, and there's been some work stoppages and things as you know. What can you share? Are there conversations politically, otherwise, about investing in infrastructure and trying to help, with all of the various challenges we have in regards to supply chain?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. I had a chance to visit the port of Milwaukee when I was in Milwaukee, which was great, and of course, we're now looking at revitalized tourist traffic, cruise ships potentially coming in from Canada, serving the Great Lakes. So again, it's a great example of how important the connections are in the Great Lakes region. We have to say that there's been challenges with cross-border transportation, largely because of COVID. But coming out of COVID, knock on wood, things are generally working well. We've been affected by global supply chain challenges, just like the US has. And in January, our Minister of Transport, along with other cabinet ministers, had a national supply chain summit, so a Canadian supply chain summit, to discuss challenges facing Canada's supply chain and to identify potential solutions. And at that summit, the minister announced a new supply chain task force, as well as a 15 million, that's presumably Canadian, targeted call for proposals under our National Trade Corridors Fund to increase storage capacity, et cetera, at the border. And one thing that we're working on that's very important is the Gordie Howe International Bridge project to add another span in Detroit. It is the largest and most ambitious binational infrastructure project along the Canada-US border, and it's funded entirely by the Government of Canada. So once that bridge is completed, it's going to improve things, provide for safe, efficient, and secure movement of people and goods across the Detroit River, and support the economies of Ontario, Michigan, Canada, and also other states as well. And so this is a huge project. It's going to be publicly owned by both Canada and Michigan, and will provide an additional crossing option at one of our busiest Canada-US commercial border crossings. So, we're working on it, and let's hope that things continue to improve and go in the right direction.
Absolutely, and everyone agrees that it takes the commitment from everyone, and certainly our politicians, and the investment in infrastructure for the long-term solution. So that's exciting to hear. I'd not heard about that. So David, I'm happy to end on a positive note, you know, with all of the challenges we have today. And you know, it was really fascinating to hear some of the exciting opportunities in Canada and the growth for all of us. So thank you for joining us on Talking Trade.
Thank you.
And look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. And, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to us at the Consulate. I mean, we're here to help and support the bilateral trade relationship. And so this is a great opportunity for me to meet your membership, and we're here to provide support for your friends and colleagues.
Thank you very much, David Usher, Acting Consul General of Canada in Chicago.
Thank you.
This has been Talking Trade.